you can put anybody out of business that you want anytime you want. And I got to tell you, you talked about you're a horribly run organization. You're on the other side of the fence. You're not given that excuse. And when the IRS comes in, you're not allowed to be shoddy. You're not allowed to be run horribly. You're not allowed to make mistakes. You're not allowed to do one damn thing that doesn't come in compliance. If you do, you're held responsible right then. I just think the American people have seen what's going on right now in their government. This is absolutely an overreach, and this is an outrage for all America. I yield back.
All right. Mr. Griffin is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
All right. The committee will come to order. We'll have order in the committee, Mr.
Me and Jesse's cousin went to the Chevron after work to grab a couple Sixers and some beefy jerk. The man behind the counter said he'd like to see ID. I handed him one of a guy who sort of looked like me. He frowned and asked me what was my address. I knew the street, but I couldn't quite get the rest. I said I'd lost my real ID and that we would pay him double. We swore that we weren't cops and that he wouldn't get in trouble. He smiled and said, I'm sorry, but it's already 12:04. And the state says it's too late to sell alcohol anymore. Sadly, we went to put back the beer. But then a bottle caught my eye, and I got an idea. What about mouthwash? What about huffing paint? You don't need ID to buy it, and you can't arrive too late. What about mouthwash? What about smelling glue? If they say you can't buy liquor, then some cough syrup should do. Before we count this night up as a loss, what about mouthwash? Sitting in the truck in the parking lot, underneath the moon and all them stars. We don't need their liquor stores and we don't need their bars. Drinking Listerine and tonic, and Jesse's cousin sipped a scope and Coke. Robitus and Red Bull, now that shit ain't no joke. But something changed within me at that store. Beer and spirits just don't cut it anymore. The whispers that I hear and the looks that I keep getting when I toast with a Dimetap daiquiri at a fancy wedding. And last night a cop pulled me over, going down 95 South. And he saw the Sherman-Williams all over my nose and mouth. He just looked straight at me with a pity in his eyes, like he'd just seen the depths of sadness a man can't have inside. And the lengths to which he'll go to numb it down for another day. He looked as if he'd cried, but then he just walked away. I watched as he drove off down the interstate. And then I thought to myself, that's another reason this stuff's great. What about mouthwash? What about sniffing glue? When the police pull you over, they ain't sure what to do. What about mouthwash? Or even hand sanitizer? When they check your glove compartment, they won't be none the wiser. Before we count this night up as a loss, say what about mouthwash?
to the alternate media broadcast network. The future is now.
Russia transcends. Through every stage of its story, it's resisted any notion of limitation. Through every reinvention, only redoubling its desire to cast the towering presence. The empire that ascended to affirm a colossal footprint. The revolution that birthed one of modern history's pivotal experiments. But if politics has long shaped our sense of who they are, it's passion that...
Hi, everybody. This week I delivered my State of the Union address. Today, here's the 3-minute version. I believe this can be, as president, I'm committed to, and I believe most of them, what I believe unites, what I offer will I. So wherever and whenever I can take steps without legislation, that's what I'm going to do. And I believe, son of a single mom can be president of the greatest nation on earth. You know, But I'll act on my own. Tonight I'm announcing we'll launch to my desk. Put more my administration as my strategy. I announced a few. I'll cut red. And while we're at it, I'll use my authorities. I'll build on that. That's why I directed my energy. I want us to be. And I know that members, the ideas I've outlined so tonight I've asked. I'm also. Let me tell you why. She sat down and wrote me a letter. The kind I get every day. That's why I've been asking. Tonight I ask, as well as the president, I repeat that request tonight. I'm going to pull together. Last year I also pledged. Tonight I can announce that, and I want to work with, and I'm reaching out, Michelle and I, because I believe since I asked, tonight I ask America, I say, you chief executive, I intend to, you should too. Coming weeks I will issue an executive order, but I agree with Republicans like, that's why tomorrow I will direct the, work with me. Send me legislation. I do not expect, but I know that the American people, I ask every American, and the bipartisan commission I appointed, I've seen the courage, and I intend to keep trying with or without Congress to, and I know this chamber agreed. When I took office, but I strongly believe as Commander-in-Chief, I have used force, and I will never hesitate. But I will not, nor will I allow. That's why I've imposed this Congress. I will reform. I will veto it. Then I will be the first about one of those families I've come to know. I first met, I told him to stay in touch. And the next time I met him, thanks.
Well, they say that timing is everything. Just wondering if anyone pushing the latest global warming rules from the White House bothered taking a look outside any window at the White House. Hi, everyone. Happy to have you. I'm Neil Cavuto and talk about awkward timing. The White House announcing its latest climate change executive action in the middle of a whiteout, setting up new climate hubs to help farmers and soon others. It sounds like maybe taxpayers are on the end of another snow job. Charles Payne, Dagan McDowell, Admiral Sinsky, Charlie Gasparino. Dr. Payne, what do you think?
First of all, it's $150 billion on this kind of stuff and counting. You know, I find it interesting that, okay, the administration says that, hey, climate change, it creates floods, droughts, pest infestations, and farmers are saying, wow, well, we've never had to deal with this before. What can you do for us? I mean, come on. It's the craziest thing in the world. So they're going to set up these hubs, and all the cash is going to slosh around to federal agencies, state agencies, universities, and non-government organizations. It sounds like another big-time cash free-for-all for all the administration's friends.
Dagan?
Well, I think the White House is trying to, after the State of the Union, trying to look like it's doing something. But in the State of the Union and their policies to this day, I don't know why they aren't focusing on, like, natural gas and the shale boom in this country.
They have a lot of gas.
It's just not the kind that you can fire a power plant with. But again, half the emissions in a coal plant, they're just so fixated on solar and wind and talking about climate change rather than really championing the energy boom in this country. It just boggles the mind.
So the picking and choosing is what bothers you. What do you think?
Well, we have, still very high unemployment. We got a lot of problems in this country, but this is what they waste their time on. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'd like to know what a hub looks like. Does anybody, Adam, can you help me with this? What
exactly Adam is all
a hub
all the time. Adam, what is a hub? What is this hub?
Plastics. I don't know any better what a hub is than you do. What I know is I don't think they're wasting their time. Dagan, first of all, the energy boom doesn't need championing. I can't say that as easily as you did. It doesn't need to be championed. It's doing just fine. What needs to be championed are other ways of fighting global warming, which is real. And that's really the conversation that we're having. The rest of you don't think it's real. So if it isn't real, then you're absolutely right. Adam, we're wasting time and money. I actually am not some sort of troglodyte who thinks that's anti-scientific. And,
I did not call you a troglodyte, Charlie.
If I knew what a troglodyte was, I'd take offense.
But what makes you think any of these hub things are going to work? I mean, it sounds stupid, doesn't it?
Well, I don't even share your point, Adam. I don't disagree that the Earth's warming up a little bit. I just know that it was marketed some years ago as global warming, and then when it didn't look like we were having as many warm winters as was figured, they called it climate change just to cover everything. But to put this onus exclusively on man for this phenomenon, and that man must fix it and pay trillions of dollars to fix it, that, I think, is
well, even more specifically, Western man. And by the way, I'll take off my costume and show you how a real troglodyte looks. I'm a troglodyte!
Anyway. Stop next door before. Okay.
So, I let my troglodyte come out. I can't help it. Listen, it's a money grab. It's a money grab. I mean, to your point, go throughout history. We've had cycles. We've had weathers up, down, warm periods, cold periods. The dinosaurs are wiped out. Man didn't exist. The automobile didn't exist. It's all nonsensical. It's all based on a fear-based sort of agenda. We keep scaring the masses as much as possible, and we loot the place at the same time.
Our CO2 emissions have been falling in recent years, and the biggest emitter of carbon dioxide is China. And they always pick on the United States, and it's an issue. It's an issue of how you reduce emissions. Natural gas-fired power plants, we're doing it faster and cheaper than Europe, where you have these massive subsidies and these giant mandates that they have to pull back because it costs so much money.
Go ahead, Adam.
So, look, I want to take the joking out of it. I really believe what Charles, in particular, what you're saying. The position you're representing here, it's not being a troglodyte, you're anti-progress. I mean, we created automobiles. Hubs are progress? Automobiles were really dangerous, so we added safety features
Adam,
to automobiles. And guess what?
Adam, can I just ask you that?
Let him finish.
And then fewer people are dying from it. My point is, man is creating a lot of these problems, not all of them, and so we should do what we can about the problems that we're creating. Hubs are the answer.
And even beyond that,
it sounds so insane.
Redistribution of money will clear the climate. This is what I don't get. Raising my taxes is going to clear the air. There's the point, because it always comes down to that. It always comes down to spending taxpayer money on something, and somehow it gets redistributed into the pockets of people who just so happen to be friendly with the administration, and it doesn't change your facts. It doesn't change your facts, Adam.
To suggest it's purely scientific, I mean, the environmental movement is a political movement. This is not pure science. This is a political movement, Adam. You know it, and they manipulate the numbers all the time. So it's hard to believe exactly everything that they say, because they manipulate so much to push an agenda.
It's hard to believe anything.
Come on, you really think
you know what? I didn't want this to get to be a global warming debate, so I'm going to end it here.
Uncovered at a second hearing. So what facts do we have at our disposal? Mr. Chairman, I have identified 9 separate specific assertions made by Lois Lerner on May the 22nd. And that was after she asserted her right against privilege. 9 separate factual assertions, including, Mr. Chairman, I have done nothing wrong. I have broken no laws. I have provided no false information to Congress. I have violated no IRS rules. I have violated no IRS regulations. And then, Mr. Chairman, she authenticated